These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
We are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, June 12th. This is my second time recording the intro because I had a voice crack in the first one that will never hear the light of day. And the Denver Nuggets are NBA champions. I had to get the voice crack line in first because that's more important to me personally. But the Nuggets just beat the Heat in Game 5 to win their first championship in franchise history. Congratulations to Jokic, Finals MVP. Nasty, probably top 6, 7 center of all time. Like, am I crazy? I mean,
this is a crazy once I was like, Jokic sucks and isn't a winning player, and here I am.
Yeah, just crazy. But we will get to that later during the NBA section. If you'd like to listen to that, skip forward or just listen to the Celtic stuff first and then go to there. However, we do have Celtic stuff to talk about. There has been more news. And it's with the coaching staff again. Just a couple episodes ago, we talked about how the Celtics have hired Sam Cassell, and they're now adding on to that. They have hired Charles Lee away from the Milwaukee Bucks, long regarded as one of the top assistants in the NBA. He's going to be Boston's lead assistant, meaning Sam Cassell will just be an assistant on the coaching staff. But now the Celtics have Joe Mazzulla with Sam Cassell and Charles Lee behind him, quickly becoming probably one of the most stacked coaching staffs in the league, right?
Yeah. Charles Lee was a finalist for a few jobs. I believe he was in on the Toronto Raptors job. He was at least considered for the Bucks job, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been eyed by other teams as well. He had interviews with Milwaukee, Toronto, Phoenix, and Detroit. So if he's just going to be the assistant for the Celtics, that's, again, adding some star power. He was held in a high regard by plenty of teams around the league. It's another great get to surround Joe Mazzulla, who's still learning the ropes, still working to become the best coach he can be. Obviously, fans have some sort of feeling towards how he may be able to improve. We've heard some suggestions, maybe calling timeouts, different rotations.
I tweeted for my brother's graduation the other day, and the only reply to the tweet was #fire Joe Mazzulla. Just nothing.
I forgot about that, and it was fantastic. I hope Henry had a great graduation. I'm proud that he did not fall asleep. And it's a big achievement for Henry, so congratulations to him.
The graduation or the not falling asleep?
Not falling asleep.
Of course.
It's a long time, boring ceremony.
It was terrible.
I might have fallen asleep if I had to sit through it.
I got a little sunburned. I don't think you can see it on the camera. I don't burn easily, but the sun was brutal. But back to Charles Lee. Sorry, people. Charles Lee has been an assistant under Mike Budenholzer for his entire coaching career, was in Atlanta with him since 2014, made the move with him to Milwaukee in the 2018-19 season. And now obviously Budenholzer is out. So the Celtics swooped in and stole him away from the Bucks. He'll be the lead assistant. I'm taking this information from Connor Roche of Mass Live, but he was first seriously viewed as a head coaching candidate in 2021. He was a candidate for the Pelicans job that went to Willie Green, a finalist for the Wizards job that went to Wes Unseld Jr. He most recently interviewed for almost every head coaching position this offseason. Pistons, he was a finalist for. Raptors, finalist for. Obviously, Detroit went with Monty Williams with the richest contract ever. And then the Raptors hired Darko Rajakovic. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And then I pulled a quote from that same Mass Live article. This is when Lee was promoted to the head assistant in Milwaukee. He said this when asked about like the change. He said, a lot of things are really the same. I think the title changed, but how I approach the day to day is I'm supposed to be a faithful servant to Coach Bud and just really focus on how I can help these players get better individually when it's going to turnover. And be able to help us as a team as well. It just sounds like he's a great guy to have as the second in command to Joe Mazzulla. It wouldn't surprise me if he interviewed for that Celtics job a couple seasons ago. So Joe Mazzulla has a great staff behind him now with Charles Lee and Sam Cassell. It went from a very thin coaching staff with Ben Sullivan and all these guys leaving to join Udoka to a very well rounded coaching staff, probably rivaled by the Suns, Frank Vogel, David Fizdale, and Kevin Young. And then, like you always say, Sam, when you know the assistant coaches' names, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you had people getting excited about the assistant coaches. You had Woj so excited that he mistook Stephen Silas for a member of the Celtics staff. He sent out a tweet to follow up his initial report of the Lee hire with he joins Stephen Silas and oh my God, Sam Cassell on Joe Mazzulla's staff. And Woj was very wrong. The Athletic put up an article about this, spoke with one of Lee's former colleagues, Blaine Mueller, and he had just great things to say about him, of course, right? What you see is what you get, and you're going to see a smile and an energy and a vibrance to him. It just goes a long way on the staff when you've got someone every day like that who you can lean on so heavily. Coaches are dealing with all these things, losing streaks and owners and all these pressures in the players. And Charles comes in like, no, we're not going to that place. So what you can get ready for this season is the Celtics to be losing and Charles Lee to smile on the sidelines. And then the fan base is going to be really, really mad like they were when Kemba used to smile. And they would
Boston hates
Kemba.
Smiling. Boston hates smiling, man. If you're losing, there's no reason to smile, and I respect that mindset, but it's also a cause for toxicity, I suppose. But yeah, Charles Lee on the coaching staff now. Another great get for the Celtics, for Brad Stevens, for Joe Mazzulla to help him push forward into next season. Next, just another small tidbit of news. Grant Williams made some little bit of noise in the ethos. He attended a New York Liberty game with Mikal Bridges. I saw a TikTok actually of Grant in New York. It was one of those. Did you see this TikTok? It was like a guy saying like, "Why'd you lose to the Heat?" In the finals?
I did see that.
Grant was
I've
like,
been asking.
"Hey, buddy."
Nobody has answered why they lost to Miami.
Grant goes, "We're asking the same questions, man." But he attended the game with Brooklyn Nets forward Mikal Bridges, which eyes emoji kind of. The Nets don't have cap space, so there's no realistic path for them to acquire him unless it's a sign and trade, which probably doesn't make too much sense for the CBA likely restricted Celtics down the line. So just cool to see him out and about. Tatum was also at a WNBA game. I don't remember which one he attended. Vegas,
I believe.
Aces are nasty. Becky Hammond, I think, is still head coach over there, but yeah, I mean, good for Grant. You mentioned this. Did you mention it with the intention of the eyes emojis being brought up, or was it just something that happened in the Celtics sphere?
Well, you're a free agent, seen sitting with another NBA player. Perhaps could be an eyes emoji, but everything that we have heard about has been he's going to come back. Him and Jaylen Brown are going to be asked back. I believe Steve Bulpett had that from Heavy.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, him and JB, yeah.
And then the surgery thing happening now, we talked about it in the last episode, seems to point to him going back to the Celtics, them reporting on him being ready for training camp. It sounds like the idea is to have him back in Boston. I'm curious what the number's going to be. I don't know what's been thrown around. I heard somebody say 20 million today. I forget who I was talking with.
Do you know John Hollinger, the Athletic? Have you seen his like boards rating?
I saw he had a long list of the predictions for some of these guys, and I did not see the Grant one.
Boards ratings literally stands for big ol' rating dollars, something like that. And so he basically has this whole formula of like age, value on the court, all these stats, like different things that determines a player's free agency value. I'll go look now, but I think Grant, who checked in, is the 25th best free agent in Hollinger's list, most valuable. I think it ranked in at like 15.8 is what he said a fair salary probably would be. I don't know how far over that list Grant would go. Grant Williams, just checking my math here. Yeah, 15.15 is there. I have to imagine he'll probably get an offer like 17, 18 in free agency. That being said, if I'm the Celtics, am I crazy saying like, and I know I'm generally down on Malcolm Brogdon, but purely from the perspective of
the
rotations, I'd rather re-sign Grant and trade Brogdon than keep Brogdon and let Grant walk. Does that make sense? Like, I'm fine with keeping both, but if the choice is for money reasons, I think Grant is the smarter decision to keep.
Well, if you're really concerned about money, then it circles us back to Chris Paul. And if you can get Chris Paul for nothing and trade Brogdon, maybe that's how you screw around with the money and give yourself some relief. That's the only reason I think the Chris Paul thing makes sense.
I thought
if
you
you
said
want to utilize Brogdon.
I thought you said trade for Chris Paul for a second. I was
Yeah,
like, does
do
that help
that.
the money?
Yeah, give him the $30 million to play
No,
for your
yes,
team.
definitely don't do that.
No, if you're getting Chris Paul, it has to be cheap, and it has to be a motivated move where you're using it to shift your roster and strengthen it overall. It doesn't make sense just to bring him in for the hell of it to sell jerseys, whatever it may be. It makes sense if you're looking to bring in some more wing depth. I think you need it. Grant Williams is fine. He's fine. I don't know what they're going to pay him. If it's 15-8, it's whatever. I don't think they can spend the money anywhere else, so you might as well spend it. And you're going to end up going into that CBA threshold of $17.5 million eventually. All of these guys are locked up long term. They're the core members of your team, so it really doesn't matter too much. It's going to matter. We'll see what's going on with Horford. We're going to see how effective he's going to be this season after another year of just getting older. And we saw a little bit of regression in the postseason this year where he wasn't able to. Are you laughing at the same thing I think you're laughing at?
No, I'm laughing at the Horford getting older. Sorry.
Oh.
I just thought it was funny because it's like very true. It's like the most blunt way of putting it though. Just like another season of him just getting older.
He is getting older though.
I know.
It sucks because
I know.
It feels like him getting older may be the first like bolt to come out of the wheel that eventually falls off.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Because he wasn't,
and that's why I think Grant's
the
important.
Run last year, and he was important when they were playing well this year, and he struggled really badly against Miami shooting threes, and it hurt them.
Yeah,
he lost
big time
at the end. I hope it's not true, but
yeah,
could be something to keep your eyes on. I don't know what they're going to do with him. We talked a little bit about it last time. There's probably no team that's going to take him off you for anything worthwhile. So you're probably just going to see him ride out as a Celtic, which I think is kind of deserved. I think he's been excellent since he's been a member of the team. He's done nothing but bring respect to the team.
If they win a title, does his number go up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if they win a title this year, this is his third season and his second stint. Mm-hmm. He was here for 3-4 years. He was here 17, 18, 19. And then 21, 22, 23. This will be 24. He'll probably play next year, 25. That's 7 years. That's longer than KG spent with the Celtics. So there's that. Maybe. I mean, obviously, he's going to have a little bit smaller of a role than KG did. I think that's safe to say on a title team. I don't know. I think Horford has done a really good job of embodying somewhat what it means to be a Celtic. I think he's been a good leader. I saw somebody in the comments make a fair point of if he's so great at being a leader, why did they lose home playoff games, which is very true. I wish they wouldn't do that, especially when it's arm in the leg to get in the building. Kind of fucked up a little bit, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
It is what it is. I think bringing Grant back is probably the best play. And as much as it's eyes emoji about Mikal Bridges, I would place bets that he's back in a Celtics uniform next season, but that's just me.
At the very least, bringing Grant back allows you to be flexible. Whether you want to trade Grant down the line and bring in somebody else making whatever money he makes, it can't be a bad thing, I don't think.
I agree, especially with the value he showed in the postseason. Also, Grant was rocking his little arm brace thing.
Super
in
cool
those videos.
Sling.
Yeah, look at him go. The next piece of Celtic stuff we have, Bleacher Report put out an article. Let me just check who wrote it because I know the general guys, but I want to make sure I get the one right. Greg Swartz of Bleacher Report put out an article, one hole every team can fill in free agency this offseason. Do you know what the Celtics was, Sam?
Bench wing depth.
Shooting. And I did the same thing you're doing where I raised the eyebrow. His argument was basically poor shooting helped nail the Celtics coffin shut during the East Finals. And I agree with that, but I don't necessarily know if it's because they have not enough shooters. I just think their shooters went cold. And so having more shooters on the roster is going to prevent
they have
slumps,
Sam Hauser and he was just hanging out.
Exactly. And so,
whether it was justified or not, by the way, he probably shouldn't have played in that Miami series, but if you're complaining about shooting, that's kind of all he does. So they can add a shooter. If they play Sam Hauser, they've effectively added a shooter.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say 2 of the 3 free agency target options he brought up, I think would be valuable outside of their shooting too. So I'm fine with it. The third one we'll start with just to get out of the way. Damian Lee. Fine, I guess.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need another guard, but the other 2 I think are better because they don't necessarily need to play a lot of minutes, but they can get in there at the forward spots. First one, Joe Ingles. I don't think it would be
Old.
terrible. He's old, but I think it could be similar to the Blake Griffin thing where he can give you some good regular season minutes and sort of filtration. Nobody they get in free agency is going to step in and immediately be like a top 8 guy, right? The Celtics top 8
if
is
the
set
second
unless they make
person
him
is who I'm hoping it is.
Who do you hope it is?
I hope it's Georges Niang.
It's not Georges Niang, but I love that though. I would love George Niang. It's Torrey Craig, who I think is also fine.
That's a name that's been thrown around a few times. We've talked about him, at least I think it was before the deadline. We were kind of throwing it back and forth. Like maybe he'll end up on the Celtics in a trade. He would give you some wing depth. Traditionally, he's an okay defender. He can shoot okay.
Played real well in the playoffs this year. Put up like 20 points in the first 2 games. I would love to see
George Niang.
George Niang would be cool.
George Niang is fire, dude.
Local guy too. I know you love local guys.
I do love a local guy. I love a guy that looks like he just got picked off the street a little bit.
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of one of us.
There you go. But I just thought it was interesting that they pegged shooting as the Celtics need this summer. I don't know if I agree with that.
What would your number one have been?
Wing depth, like you said.
Yeah,
maybe more defensive minded wing. Like, I think it's important that the wing can shoot. Like, I think Torrey Craig would probably be the ideal wing depth guy for me, because I don't think I would label it as shooting though, because I don't think a Damian Lee or a Seth Curry would help the Celtics. I think you need a 3-and-D. Excuse me, there's the voice crack you missed at the start. I think you need a 3-and-D forward/wing, like somebody who can play a little bit of 3, somebody who can play a little bit of the 4. I think that's the sweet spot, right? Because that's really what you're missing. You have all those point guards who can also play shooting guards. You have, Al, Grant, and Rob who can play a little 4, a little 5. You don't really have many backups that can play the 3-4. You can classify Grant as that. I don't really like him at the 3. You can classify Hauser as that. Don't really like him at the 4. You get a Torrey Craig in there, and or Niang, right? Somebody that can play both those positions. Can be physical in the post if he needs to, but is also a decent perimeter guy, can hit his shots. I think that would be what the Celtics should add this summer. Gallo fits that a little bit, but he's just not quick enough to keep on defense. Like, he's the shooting without the defense, but he is big enough where you can probably put him at the 4 a little bit. But
I will say, if they're fortunate enough and if the health is there, Pritchard up north for Otto Porter. I said it before. We've talked about it plenty of time. I think that is the perfect backup to fill the role you exactly have specified, 3 and 4, a little bit of defense, some length there, made a big impact against the Celtics in the finals in 2022. Obviously, he went through a toe issue this year, missed a lot of time for the Raptors, and he didn't get to play a lot, didn't get to see what he's got left in the tank. But I would not be opposed to it. It's really risk-free if you're moving Pritchard, who essentially is not going to be on your team anyway next year. Mm-hmm. Why not take a swing at that? I think you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't give you much off the injury, like worst case, you have another Blake Griffin or Noah Vonleh even. You can just let him walk.
Yes.
So
I forgot Noah Vonleh was on his team.
Yes. Never mind. I thought he was a free agent, but you have to trade for him. So I was going to say, like,
yeah.
How much is the salary? Blah blah blah. But
whose option? No, you're right. Player. He has an option, right?
I think it's a player option. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He's not walking.
That's why I was confused, because I thought we were talking about free agency, and I was like, he's not declining that player option. No way. But yes, okay. Moving on. The next, and I think the final Celtics things we have to talk about. Our friends over at the Garden Report. I think we've had almost all of them on the show. We've had Bobby. You've had Josue. We've had Jimmy. Not John Zanis yet. Not Sherrod yet. Maybe in the future, had Nick Gelso as well. So the CLNS crew, friends of the show in general, love it. Need to have them on again soon. They came up with a trade that they basically concocted, I believe, and reacted to on their podcast.
Okay.
And I'm trying to put it in a separate, what's it called?
Window.
Separate window, but I think I'm just going to zoom in here quick in a sec. It is a 3-team trade with the Raptors and the Magic. It would completely change the outlook of the Celtics. It trades Jaylen Brown. It trades Marcus Smart. It trades Robert Williams.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I'm not sitting here and saying this is realistic. I don't think it's realistic, but I thought it would be fun to react to. and just take a look at. That's all I'm gonna say. The quality is terrible because I've had to screenshot it and everything. However, I'll put it up on the screen. It's terrible quality, but you'll see the faces. You can make out the names. So here it is. This is the 3-team trade. I'll read it out for the audio listeners. Like I said, terrible quality. I apologize. It is Pascal Siakam, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., and Franz Wagner to the Celtics. Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, pick 6 and pick 11 to the Raptors. Jaylen Brown to the Magic. My initial reaction, this is way too much value for Jaylen Brown. Way too much. I'm sorry. And
I'm okay with this.
I think it's fine for the Celtics. If I'm the Celtics, I'd do this immediately. But
Yeah.
I think I don't think there's. I think the Celtics and Raptors would make this trade 10 times out of 10. I think the Magic would laugh in your face. I think the Magic would have to also get Peyton Pritchard. I think the Magic probably wouldn't give up Franz. They wouldn't give up pick 11, and I don't think they'd give up Franz Wagner. Maybe if you switch out Wagner for Gary Harris, you consider it. But then if you're the Celtics, you're like, you know what I'm saying? But I just thought this was interesting and completely crazy and wild, and so I wanted to look at it. What do you think, Sam? I know you said you'd do it if you're Celtics.
If I'm the Celtics, I'm doing it. I mean, I hate the idea of giving up really all three of these guys. I would like to see them come back next year. I've calmed down since the playoffs. I've never really budged on Smart. I would like to see him play his whole career on the Celtics. I think he is a winning player, despite the accusations of not being that. I think he is. He's never missed the playoffs. Usually plays pretty well in the playoffs. Is reliable. Brown had a rough series against Miami. He became the scapegoat. Rob, he's iffy just because of his health.
Injuries, yeah.
But Siakam's fine. He's made all NBA a couple times. I think Fultz is a little bit underrated in the league right now. I think he's really good. When he plays for Orlando, that team plays well. He wouldn't be the worst replacement for Smart, I suppose. Plus, in this situation, you still have Brogdon and White, so you don't lose a ton of guard depth. Wagner's a great young player, and Wendell Carter's been a solid piece for Orlando these last couple of years since joining off of Chicago in the trade. I don't know. As far as the Celtics are concerned, that's a decent return. Those are all quality players. I think Orlando does give up a lot, but they do get Jaylen Brown, you're assuming that he's on a long contract in this situation. Even though I don't think they can trade him if he's extended until next summer.
You'd have to, if you're Orlando, you have to get confirmation that he would resign.
Yes.
I think Franz Wagner is where they get lost. I don't think they'd give up Franz Wagner in this deal. Would you make this deal if it was Gary Harris instead of Wagner or like a Cole
Probably
Anthony
not.
instead of Cole Anthony instead of Wagner? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think Wagner's really the sweetener because
I agree.
He's a great young
call
player.
Me crazy. I think Wagner's value alone is too close to Brown to be thrown in this deal. I'm not saying he's as valuable as Brown, but like he averaged 18.5, 4.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 48-36 splits this past season, and he's 21, right? Like he's a damn good player. He has all-star upside. I'm not saying he's as valuable as Jaylen Brown, but on the contract he's currently on, like I don't like giving up not only Franz Wagner. I don't think they'd give up Franz Wagner for Jaylen Brown straight up personally. Right. I'm not saying he has more value, but just for where the Magic are at, I don't think they would.
I think they might.
For the contract's sake, for the sake of growing the young core, for the age, regardless, maybe they would.
Orlando might feel that team is ready to make the next step. Granted,
maybe
Wagner is a piece of that young core that kind of impressed last year. Took a little bit of a couple swings at the rest of the league.
More my point is, I think it's maybe even 60-40, they would trade Franz Wagner for JB, trade up to trade Wagner, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter, and 6 and 11. You're trading 3 starters and 2 lottery picks for Jaylen Brown. That's just way too much.
Those picks are a lot.
That's what I'm saying. And this isn't a shot at the Garden Report guys. Like I think they just like threw this out there as like a wild hypothetical. I don't even know if it's theirs. They would have took it from somewhere. This is where I saw it. I don't think the Magic do this. I think both other teams do. But it's interesting. I just thought it was fun. This is the point of the offseason we're at, you know?
It is. It is the 2 or 3 weeks since the season has come to a close. The interest is going to start to come back a bit. You're going to start to have a little bit more to talk about as the draft gets closer. That is only 10 days away. 9, as you're listening to this. Then you'll have free agency. Then you'll have a whole lot of nothing. You'll have the summer league, but you'll have a whole lot of nothing. And we'll get back to this in August and September. Can't wait. I only want to put my head in the microwave for 60 straight days. Ugh, the worst time of the year.
Well, maybe you don't love it, but I
prefer my head not in the microwave.
I think that concludes Celtics today. There wasn't too much out there. We got a little creative. We watched plenty of stuff, but there is a decent amount of NBA stuff. So
yes,
we can run through that. The biggest NBA news out there, I would argue today, Pelicans want Scoot Henderson. Shams went on FanDuel TV or Stadium. He went on something talking about a Western Conference team really wants to trade up and get Scoot Henderson, and it was the New Orleans Pelicans. I saw a lot of takes on Twitter, some saying, oh, maybe they'll trade Zion for it. Maybe they're wanting to trade BI so they can plan for a Scoot-Zion pairing, and even if Zion's not there and isn't healthy, they still have Scoot, a blue-chip prospect. I saw a lot of different variations. I wrote something for the Pelican Debrief, which is FanSided's Pelican side, about 5 trades they could make to get up into that 1, 2, 3. You needs picks 1 or 2, or 2 or 3 for it. Sounds like the Hornets want Brandon Miller, so you could probably get there with 3, but if you want to guarantee it, maybe you make a trade with the Hornets. I think there are some pretty realistic trades they could make with either team to get it. I'll run through some of my basic ideas if you want to react, but I'll let you give your thoughts first on the whole thing.
If you're the Hornets, I think it does make the most sense fit-wise to take Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller, who was the best player in college basketball this year. He was an impressive number one on the number 1 team in the nation. That is until the bottom fell out in the tournament. But seriously, he put together an impressive season. He was a good scoring wing, which is a commodity in the NBA now. It's one of the things that teams build around. You're seeing wings lead the way a lot on these championship teams, so it does make sense to go after one, especially in favor or over, rather, a guard, which you kind of already have, LaMelo. You can obviously have those 2 guys play off each other if you would like, but it makes the most sense to fill a need that you actually need, because they still do have Terry Rozier, who they could move.
Yeah.
But then you're really going to overstack that backcourt, which, I mean, they need more help. You can't just keep adding guards. You need taller guys, too.
Very true. Unless you're the Celtics. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking.
As for the Blazers, eyeball emojis. What are you going to get? What do you get?
So I wrote, like I said, some trades. And basically the way I formatted is I did 1 Brandon Ingram trade and 1 Zion trade for each team. And then the Hornets got a third one, which is if they just want to completely tear down and rebuild, they could get a bunch of assets and young players. Yeah. But we'll start with the Blazers, because I do think that's probably the biggest eyes emoji.
Okay.
So for the Brandon Ingram Portland trade, I had 3rd pick Anthony Simons and Nurkic to New Orleans, Brandon Ingram, Larry Nance to Portland. It's pretty simple. Salaries work. That if I'm Portland, maybe you're overpaying, but I think you get better roster fit with that, and you get off the Nurkic contract, because I think he's 3 years, 17, 18 mil a season now, and he's just not a mobile big. He's been all right, but you need to upgrade. And then they could roll out starting lineup of Dame, Shaedon Sharpe, Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Grant, Larry Nance at center. Pelicans would roll out Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Herb Jones, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah, if you're the Pelicans in that situation, it at least opens the door to a Valanciunas trade. I know you kind of threw that name around as a potential Brook Lopez replacement for the Bucks, because
maybe.
I mean, I'm not really convinced he's going to re-sign there. I don't know. It really just depends what he's about. If he's about money, it's not going to be there. I don't think they can pay him. He's going to garner probably around $20 million, you would say. So some other team is going to throw that at him. I don't know who it's going to be. Initial guesses. Who could? Definitely not the Hawks, because they pay everybody.
Oh, for Brook Lopez?
Yeah.
It'd have to be a team that has the
Perhaps
cap
the
space,
Bulls?
and that's the problem. Maybe the Bulls.
I saw a couple articles saying Brook Lopez to the Bulls.
Yeah, it was mine.
And someone else?
Yeah. The issue with that is I don't think there's enough teams that could use him. Oh, the Rockets. I think the Rockets are probably.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
I think that's
Rockets are a fun team to watch this summer. We can
agree.
kind of dance around that if you want in a bit. But back to the Portland trade.
Yes.
Now you've got one centered around Fat Zion.
Yeah.
Does Mariah Mills also go to Portland?
No, she'd stay in New Orleans for this one. So I think that ups the value a little bit.
More tweets then.
This one I had third pick, Simons, Nurkic, and a first for Zion and Nance. I just added a first because I think while obviously maybe you argue Ingram's more valuable because he's on the court more, but at the same time, like the upside of a Zion trade is probably higher for any team trading for him. So it's basically the same, just an extra first round pick coming from Portland in the deal. Simple, but moving to Charlotte, I had pick 2, Gordon Hayward, and pick 34 for Brandon Ingram. And then the Zion one was pick 2, Gordon Hayward, Nick Richards, and a future first for Zion. So again, just very similar outlines. Get the Hornets, one of those guys in there.
See, if I'm the Hornets, I'm really going to go hard after either one of those guys. I think
Zion and LaMelo would be so fun to watch when healthy.
Well, even Brandon Ingram, who's proven to be quality as a member of the Pelicans, obviously made the All-Star team last year or the year before. I forget what year. He did make it. Okay, if you're the Hornets and you're going to draft Brandon Miller, why not just trade for a wing that's ready?
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram is not super old. He has been in the league as long as Jaylen Brown has, and we all still consider Jaylen Brown to be young. So it doesn't really hurt to just go after somebody that's made an all-star team that's already proven he can be a focal point of an offense. I believe the Pelicans, when he was their, I guess, best player, Zion wasn't playing. They did make the playoffs, and they took 2 games off the Suns.
Yeah, they were a good team. They are a good team, with or without Zion, I think.
Yeah. And obviously, if you're Charlotte and you can get Zion, you have to do it. Even though I don't love Zion, I think it's hilarious that he can't get on the court. It's just like, you're Charlotte, you have to try that.
Yeah.
Like, there is no other way you're getting anybody to go play for your team other than making a big trade for somebody like Zion, who coming into the league was a super hyped prospect, like almost the level of Wembanyama. It was like guaranteed number 1 pick. He's going to be the next LeBron, blah, blah, blah. We've known about Zion since he was like 15.
In his defense, like when he has been on the court, he's been a top 15 player in the league. He is, like, genuinely. It's just a matter of getting him healthy. I do think in these next couple of years, you will see Zion get right. I don't think he'll ever be like an 82-game player. I think he'll be like a 55, 60-game player. But if you can have him play 55, 60 in the regular season and then get healthy in the playoffs, like that's a top 15 guy in the league. Now this last Charlotte trade I wrote, I think is probably the most intriguing. If I'm Charlotte, I do this still, because if I'm the Hornets, I don't think Ingram or Zion makes you a title team. I'm not saying this trade would, but I think it has the upside in the future. I have pick 2 and Cody Martin for Trey Murphy III. Good piece. Dyson Daniels coming off a solid rookie season. The 14th pick, stay in the lottery. The Lakers 24-25 pick that could defer to either. And the Bucks 27th pick and another future first. I might have taken that last future first out there, but that Lakers 24 or 25, they can choose. And that Bucks 27, those could be really good picks depending on what happens in the future with those teams. Plus, Trey Murphy, Dyson Daniels both have, I'm not going to say all-star potential, but like star potential, can be starters in this league. Dyson Daniels, the top 10 pick last year. Trey Murphy's a great 3-and-D wing. And you stay in the lottery, like, if you don't think LaMelo is going to be ready to compete for a playoff spot, which I think he would for what it's worth, but like if you're still like, okay, let's build up the draft assets, maybe we go after a different guy we like with these picks, like that, the Pelicans can offer a healthy package of picks and younger players.
Yeah, it is weird from a Charlotte perspective to elect to take the picks over the guaranteed guy that's already proven. However, it does make sense in a long-term stockpiling Danny Ainge type way where you can just have a zillion picks and they all have promised to be good. I do have a weird hang up on trading away a pick that you already know is good for picks that are not guaranteed to be good, though. As simple as it sounds, the lottery can be absolutely hectic, chaos. You don't know.
Well, and they would still get the 14th pick, right? Like they'd stay in the.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
I know, but like, I'm just saying,
even if the Lakers are the worst team in the league next year, there's no guarantee that pick is what you hope.
That's true. It's definitely the riskiest of the trade packages, but it also has like potential to be really good too. I thought those were interesting. Do you think the Pelicans get a deal done for one of these picks, or do you think this is just them talking?
I don't really know unless they're giving up Zion, if I'm super excited to give up one of my picks for those guys. Charlotte, it makes more sense to me if they're gonna like.
See,
then again, like you also have like the Portland wants to win for Dame like right now thing. So maybe I mean, I'm really pushing for Zion if I'm Portland. There's also been stuff that's leaked out that they're kind of getting sick of Zion there. They're sick of his nonsense.
Yeah, I saw something. I didn't read it too much, but I saw a headline when I was doing a Pelican debrief, and it said, excuse me, something along the lines of like, the Pelicans are sick of Brandon Ingram or something. Teammates frustrated with Brandon Ingram is the headline. And basically it was Pelicans writer Christian Clark reported that Ingram has sometimes seemed unwilling to play through minor discomfort to the point where some of his teammates have become frustrated with him over the past 2 years. So maybe you trade one of them. And I will say, for a Blazers team that seems absolutely desperate to get a wing to pair with Dame, Brandon Ingram for 3 makes way too much sense. So if I think there was a trade that was going to happen, I would say it would be Brandon Ingram for 3. And honestly, if the 3rd pick gets traded, I would be shocked if it wasn't Brandon Ingram in that deal. Does that make sense? I think that's probably emerged as the best trade out there right now for them. Right? Am I crazy?
I'd say so. It's just a solid return. It's a way
and
for you to improve instantly and actually put some competitive pieces on your team rather than just hoping something works out, because it clearly has not. That's why you are the owner of a high pick.
Realistically, Dame, Shaedon Sharpe, Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Grant, and Larry Nance or Drew Eubanks or whatever you want to roll out of center, like that's a playoff team. It's definitely a playoff team in the Western Conference. So we'll see what happens there. But the next thing we have a couple tidbits of Raptors news. We'll lump them together. The Raptors hired a new head coach, Darko Rajakovic. Again, sorry if that's wrong. Very highly regarded around the league. Not one of the most well-known names out there. Not, Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer, or one of those guys, but everything coming out of these teams and these writers and these reporters is that he's very well liked in the locker rooms. He's very well liked in OKC. He's very well liked during his time in Memphis. And one of the most important things, Woj put this in his article, the Raptors wanted to hire somebody who is comfortable leading a competitive team and also comfortable leading a rebuilding team. And they think Darko's that guy. So they still don't know what direction they're going to be going in, but they wanted to avoid the Steven Silas Rockets mistake, I think. So, I mean, overall good hire for them. Just another piece of NBA news.
Yeah, whatever.
So. The other Raptors thing, Fred VanVleet is officially opting out of his contract. The deadline for that was June 15th, I believe, per Keith Smith. Excuse me.
He just couldn't wait.
Did not want to wait.
Yeah, he
all indications
say I'm not going to be on the Raptors anymore fast enough.
All indications, I'm not going to be here. He's out here. Also, I think Gary Trent Jr. also not going to be here in Toronto. So going to be an interesting summer.
Whatever.
But that's another starter for them, is what I'm saying. Like, they're losing their starting. Should probably push them towards a rebuild. But where do you think VanVleet ends up? Just throw some teams out there.
I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense with the roster they've got, but last time he was up for grabs, the Knicks were a team that was thrown around. Doesn't make sense with Brunson there now, but for whatever reason, that's one of the first ones that pops in my head. I know people have said the Magic. I don't think the Magic
they wanted him.
Okay.
At the deadline, there were rumblings that they were like, "Oh, interesting him."
I don't know how much sense that makes. You have Fultz, who I think is good. You have Cole Anthony. You have Jalen Suggs. Like, you have like 3 or 4 guards that like you could just put out there and be your starter. That, I mean, VanVleet's kind of better than, I guess, but is he going to be better than what they could become if you actually give them time to play with the young, Paulo and Franz Wagner and the rest of their core, the 6 and 11 pick?
I like the idea of
point
them,
guard with 6 and 11.
True, you can maybe get, if Amon Thompson falls in, that'd be amazing. I saw a lot of things about Amon Thompson being like the best athlete that scouts have ever
I would
seen.
rather have him than VanVleet.
I agree, and I think the big thing is I don't mind a point guard for Orlando, like a Chris Paul on a deal is fine, or Mike Conley is not going to be available, but that type of guy. So I think Fred VanVleet could make sense in the idea that, okay, let's get a veteran in here. I mean, VanVleet averaged 7 or something assists a couple seasons ago. He can play make, but for the contract he's going to want, I'm not doing that if I'm Orlando. I'm not handing him $25-30 million. And I know that sounds gross because it sounds like a max contract. It's not a max contract, but even so, I just think that's too much money for him.
He didn't even shoot 40% this year. I know we got into like Kemba only shot like 43, whatever, when he was all NBA, but still, like, or all-star starter.
I know what you mean. Yes.
Still, like, He's not getting younger.
I mean,
VanVleet was never particularly young. He had played all his years at college. He signed as an undrafted free agent and kind of made his way and then got paid kind of early.
Yeah.
But what is he doing for whatever team?
Oh, and I think the big thing is all the teams with cap space to sign him, like, who's going to want to do that,
Houston
right?
want him? No. Pacers? No.
Houston's the only one that could even make a tiny bit of sense to pair him next to Harden. And that I wouldn't want that as my backcourt, right? Does Utah take a swing just to add talent to the roster, right? They don't really have a point guard.
No. We talked about this last time. They own their, or not last time, on the reaction video. They own their pick, and it's protected. Like if we're Utah, like just lose all the games.
I agree, but like if they want to stay, like I think if they had VanVleet, they could push for a playoff spot. And I know you're like, in our minds it should be title or lottery, but like realistically, pushing for a playoff spot is fine in some cases. And
it's
to be honest, as much as you say bottom out, like, I mean, shit, they own the Timberwolves picks anyways. How good are they going to be, right? Like, you might have a chance of getting another okay pick too.
It's true, but you can just like get yourself another great pick I know by sucking, and you're really not going to gain anything from not sucking.
I'm just looking at teams that have cap space. They're
as
the
far
only
as
ones that
Utah
make some
goes,
sort of
they're
sense.
not like in Orlando where they have enough young guys on the team where it's like, okay, let's go get a playoff spot. You have a bunch of average guys. You have Markkanen, you have Sexton. Kessler is a good young player. Baji. But like besides those two guys, like there's nobody really to be excited about. Clarkson's on the older side. Like there's no major benefit to getting their feet wet in the playoffs. Not like a team like Orlando. So it doesn't make sense to try and add that extra piece to push them over the edge. And really, they should tank.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'm just saying they don't really have a point guard. They have the space. Outside of that, we're talking like Spurs, Thunder, Pistons, Pacers, Magic, right? Like just
maybe San Antonio because they have a little bit of space. But even then, who else was rumored? Chris Paul rumored to San Antonio.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Maybe they just want a veteran in there to help teach Wemby the ropes a little bit. We'll see what happens. But at the very least, we know Fred VanVleet probably not going to be in Toronto next season, or definitely not going to be in Toronto next season. Next thing we have on the agenda, a little bit of MMA mixed with the NBA. Conor McGregor.
Perhaps the best moment of the finals.
He sent the poor Heat mascot to the emergency room. They were doing a bit. I'm sure you've seen the video at this point going around on Twitter. It did a bit where the guy put boxing gloves on and Conor McGregor just hit him with a mean hook. He smacked him right in the face. It was ugly. Like he was down. The guy didn't get up, and then he hit him again while he was on the ground. And he had to go to the ER. Did you see what Dana White said about it?
No, I didn't see that.
Dana White, big dumb idiot Dana White, not a fan, but Dana White basically goes, well, if I'm the guy, I wouldn't really be having MMA fighters hit me. And I'm like, Dana, I think you're missing the point.
Well, in fairness to him, he is kind of right. Like if I saw Conor McGregor,
he's blaming the mascot.
Like, he punched me in the head.
But he's blaming the mascot as if that wasn't like a designed bit by the team. Right? Like, come on, let's not blame the individual here.
Good news for the mascot. Probably has a good lawsuit on his hands of somebody. Yes. Hopefully he doesn't have brain damage. I know, like you said, he did have to go to the ER. Not exactly what you would have expected to come from the finals. Conor McGregor knocks out mascot. And then you also did they ever find out what happened to the fan that had to be stretched out of that game?
Oh, I didn't even see that. No, I have no idea.
Right after there was the rim was slanted.
Oh,
there was a woman that had to be taken on a stretcher. I don't know if it ever came out what actually happened to her.
Oh, I had no idea. Now you see woman out on stretcher. Jack searches into Google. Medical personnel brought out a stretcher and wheeled a woman off who was covering her face with her hands. I think that's all we know. I don't think there's anything else released about it. It just saying they don't know. No idea. Somebody on Twitter joked that she had too many drinks, but nothing actually came out about the incident. But Conor McGregor, not a fan of the Heat mascot, I suppose. I just thought it was funny. You saw something in The Athletic. The first line of The Athletic
Yes.
article was,
It was a
which
little roundup.
mascot? Yeah,
It
go
was
ahead.
which NBA mascot do you think you could knock out? And we can't all say the Celtics. Lucky the
What a
Leprechaun.
shot.
Can I speak English?
Yeah, maybe.
I sound like somebody just tried to hit me in the head. Gosh.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think it's rude to say Lucky and off rip. But in hindsight, maybe that's just because are there any other like human mascots, or are they all like in suits?
They're in suits, I believe.
I think the rest are in suits, yeah. So maybe from that perspective,
somebody would beat the shit out of the Clippers mascot, the stupid bird.
Yeah.
Condor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Condor's getting its ass beat. Let's see.
I'm thinking Suns mascot would win. Gorilla, big beast.
The gorilla is like an all-time great mascot.
Okay, I have a list here, a little list. Rocky the mountain lion, fine.
The Charlotte Hornets getting its ass beat. any of like the mascots that have like the super big gut are getting like their shit pushed in.
Stuff the Magic Dragon would probably win.
No,
or you think he'd beat up the Magic Dragon?
Washed.
Okay. Benny the Bull.
Benny the Bull. I don't think anybody's taken Benny the Bull. I will say there is the famous clip of Rocky, the Nuggets mascot, getting rappelled down and then just getting knocked out by the sheer fear of heights.
He passed out. Yeah. Oh man, Mavs man. I think you could beat the shit out of Mavs man.
Lower the lifeless Rocky suit down, and he just collapses on the hardwood floor.
I'm sorry. I know maybe Lucky's the easy option. You can't tell me that anybody would lose to this.
Is it
Franklin? We're talking Mavs man? Come on.
Mavs man's kind of jacked.
Come on. Mavs man?
Mavs man kind of looks like a dad at a basketball game that might pick a fight with somebody. He has the sunglasses on inside, a headband. He has big basketball biceps. He might beat your ass.
I don't know about that one. I thought that was funny though. We don't have to go too in depth, but yeah, Conor McGregor just hit him with the quick hook. Hit him with the hook real quick, but
ruined his day.
Did not have a good day. The rest of that guy.
Actually, he might have had a great day. He might have got paid.
This is also true. And for our last piece of NBA news, we had to cut. We actually waited.
We had to wait.
Like 20
we weren't
minutes
sure
while the game was ending. The Denver Nuggets are in fact the NBA champions. It was weird watching them win as my microphone loses volume a little bit. Like it feels like they just kind of breezed through the NBA playoffs. Like they didn't really have to try. Like, I mean, I knew heading in, I think I said the Nuggets would come out of the West. And so I'll pat myself on the back, but like, I didn't think it would be this easy. Like, I didn't think they would just steamroll everybody. And you can say, oh, they had to play the Lakers. Like that was the 7 seed. They had to go through like a Suns team that were
Phoenix, who was the betting favorite before the playoffs.
Yeah, and then the Heat in the finals. But like at that point, the Heat had just taken down the 1 seed and the 2 seed. The Suns have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. The Lakers have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who were playing great basketball up to that point. Let's not act like they weren't like a good team. They were playing great, and Nuggets have the best player at the very least in the playoffs, maybe on the planet. Like, and then after the game, Jokic, an actual quote, he goes, "How does it feel to be a champion?" He goes, "It's good. The job's done now. We can go home." Like, Jokic, no emotion, nothing, doesn't care, dapping up Heat players. Sam, you tweeted out that he's like got the toucan animation going on, but
yeah, he may be the person that cares the least after they won a championship. Also, you mentioned at the beginning it looked like the Nuggets didn't have to try or they weren't trying. In fairness to the league, they weren't the only team that didn't try in the playoffs. The Celtics also didn't look like they were trying.
Also true, but yeah, shout out the Nuggets. The Heat gave them a fight. The Heat were there at the end. They just couldn't make their shots at the end, which I bet Celtics fans wish would happen. But yeah, the Nuggets, man. Jokic is amazing. Murray is amazing. Bruce Brown had a clutch play at the end there and made a couple free throws, had a nice putback. KCP made a couple free throws, but Jokic is that guy. And the Nuggets are now, it's weird to think that the Nuggets are the NBA champions right now. Good for like I'm not one of those people.
Think actually, if you told me
from a Celtics
2 months ago that they'd be NBA champions, my head would have been in my hands. I would have said, "How'd the Celtics not do it?"
Mhm.
And then if you told me how the Celtics didn't do it, I really might have had a heart attack.
I don't think the Celtics would have beat this Nuggets team though, with the way they were playing.
Who knows?
But
It doesn't look like it. I mean, the Celtics lost to Miami, so
yeah, very true.
But now, as media members, we can officially start to work on chopping Jokic down.
Why is this?
Because he's supposed to be the best now. So now he's held to a different standard.
I suppose. I feel like out of all the superstars in the league, though, Jokic has probably gotten the most flack, just because all the people are like, he doesn't play defense. The only reason people like him for MVP is because of advanced stats and get rid of advanced. Like, now he's champion. What
Well, Embiid kind of sucks, unless he gets traded to the Celtics. Then he doesn't suck.
Maybe there's that. There's that too. It's just weird to think about the Nuggets as champions, not in the bad, like weird. What about the ratings, people kind of way, but just in the sense that like they don't really have the traditional media glorified superstar, as in Steph Curry won last year, Giannis won the year before. He's been on the media. Like Jokic doesn't do stuff. He is just there. He's the new Kawhi Leonard, except Kawhi Leonard actually did some commercials in San Antonio. Jokic comes to the United States in October or whenever training camp starts. He plays a basketball season, and then he goes back to Serbia to ride his horses and his carriages with his wife and his kid. And this is literally, have you ever seen those memes where it's like Kawhi Leonard goes to the basketball court, his family doesn't even know what he does. He actually just tells them he has a 9 to 5. He goes, plays, and he goes home and has dinner. That's what Jokic is. Jokic is, I'm going to go play. This is my job. And then
is
I'm going to
Jokic
go
the new
home.
Kawhi?
Yes. I think is Jokic better all time than Kawhi?
No, not yet.
I think so.
Kawhi's got 2 finals MVPs and 3 titles. 2 titles.
2 titles, 2 finals MVPs versus 1 title, 1 finals MVP, and 2 regular season MVPs.
I don't know. It's close.
We don't have to get into that, but Jokic is now the best player in the Nuggets history. I think he was before he even won this.
Yep. Will they have to retire 15 for Melo?
No shot. Retire 15.
I'm being sarcastic because when Melo retired, everybody was like, "They're going to retire his number." Like, didn't he shoot his way out of town? Shut up.
Hell no.
Melo's so overrated. He's a bum. There you go. You got me to hate on somebody during this like good for Denver moment.
But like, no, seriously though, good for Denver. This is awesome. We said this so many times. They don't really have anybody on the team you can dislike, right? Like they're just kind of cool. What do you say?
Ish Smith.
Even him, like that's more of a like, oh, he's annoying to play against.
Sorry, I'm watching this.
Like, you're good. That's fine. Also, shout out to the person on Twitter who made this. For Celtics fans, not him.
Yeah,
a picture of Jimmy.
Well, he's still making finals.
Yeah, I like Jimmy too. It's fine. Good for the Nuggets though. Jokic is. I haven't seen it on Twitter, but I can't.
He still doesn't look like he cares.
Can't imagine anybody else winning finals.
He's walking up to get his finals MVP.
Oh my god!
And he does not care.
The Jokic brothers after the game started throwing Mike Malone in the air. One sec, I gotta pull this up now. That's amazing. Good for the Nuggets, man. If not the Celtics, I would have said this going into the playoffs. Like outside of maybe the Kings, like the Nuggets are one of the teams that you're just like, okay, good for them. They never won a title. This is their first championship in league history. That's always a cool story. Good for them. And if you need some smiles on your face, here's the Jokic brothers tossing Mike Malone in the air after the title. Both the Jokic brothers were crying. Jokic just he doesn't care. But yeah, man, good for the Nuggets. I think that's all I got for NBA. Not
Mike
much
Malone
analysis,
is pumped. He's hyping up the crowd.
Good. And you know what that is? That's the case of a team not getting over the hump for so many years, sticking with their guys, sticking with their coaches, not making a ton of huge moves with their stars. Good for them. And realistically, are the Nuggets title favorites going into next season? I think so.
I think
they have to be. I think they have to be.
It's too early.
Yeah, good for them.
Draft hasn't happened. Free agency has not happened.
You say the draft,
they're going to lose guys. Like Bruce Brown probably
will probably be gone, but they have Christian Brown coming right up. You know what I'm saying? Like they have other guys that can help replace. Good for the Nuggets. Congratulations to Jokic. Congratulations to everybody. Congratulations to Jeff Green, the person who got me into basketball, which is hilarious every time I say it, every time it comes out of my mouth. But
it's true.
All right. Now we move on to the rat list and then head to bed. It is late. We are tired. Let's do this. Rat list. I will start off. Graduation. Any and all NBA, or excuse me, college graduations, high school graduations are awful. High school is slightly better because at least it's like people you kind of know, like you know more people in high school because like, oh, the kids are giving the speech, the teachers, right? In college, it will be a random professor you never heard of, a random student you've never interacted with, a random person they bring back who is like doing their like third degree like master's program. They have a cool story and they tell a random like member of the church or whatever religious like university it is. Like they bring in random speakers. It was awful. Just read the names and let us go home. There was a guy giving a speech at my brother Henry's graduation named Genghis Khan. Your parents hate you. His name was Genghis Khan. His actual name. Horrible. But rat list, any graduations. Nobody cares about your style of teaching. Nobody cares about your long story, as nice as it might be. They're there to see their child or brother or sibling graduate, and then they're there to go home. Especially when it's 80 degrees out, 90 degrees out in the blazing sun. Cut the shit. Let me go home. Ratless graduations. Yeah, that was my first one. What do you got?
Tell you what, rat list, but then redeemed rat list, Honeydew Donuts. This is a heel turn by me. Honeydew Donuts may have better donuts than Dunkin'. Recent discovery. Yeah, their frosted donuts, at the very least, are really good.
Ooh, I like
not know that
donut too. I might have to try.
I may have turned my back on Dunkin' as a New Englander. Not the best, but rat list because I sat at the drive-through, like the board to order for probably 5 minutes before they helped me. But then they redeemed themselves by giving me my donut for free because I was so patient. Yeah,
really. Yeah, that's an anti-rat list for them, low key.
But
wow,
it's like they do have to be mentioned because they have reason to give me the donut for free.
The initial action is absolutely rat list.
It was not very good. No.
Yeah. Okay. The donut wasn't good, or the fact.
Oh, the donut was good.
Okay. Good. What else do I got for rat list? Rat list drivers on the highway. 3-hour journey to Union College, which where my brother went to school. On the way back, traffic, obviously, fine. If you're going 55 on the highway, horrible human. But what's perhaps maybe worse are when there's traffic, you get it, right? You're going 60 in traffic, you're going 40 in traffic, whatever, there's traffic. There's not much you can do. So it's hard to rat list people for going slow in traffic.
Yes.
If you are tailgating somebody in the left lane in traffic, you're maybe one of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. There was this person behind us in the car. They almost hit us, like maybe like less than a foot away from our car because they were in the left lane tailgating us and the car in front of us stopped. How I understand the left lane is for speeding. We've determined that on this podcast plenty of times, right? If there's traffic, where do you want that person to go? Rat list. Use your brain. Look further ahead of you than the first car, and stop tailgating people. We legitimately, I thought we were going to get into an accident.
Rat list official. Hold on. Drum roll, please.
Sam's loading.
Yeah, I got to do an official check.
Uh-oh. You got me anticipating now. What are we doing here? Come on.
Official check. Hold on. Give me a moment.
Okay.
We finally found it. You can stop the drum roll. Officially, rat list Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin, who averaged 6.8 points in the finals while shooting 35% from the field after averaging 19.3 points per game against the Celtics on 60% shooting. Rat list. I don't know how many times I can like make the joke that we should be compensated, but it's actually kind of bullshit.
Yeah, not great. Not a great look.
And I didn't even have
Very
the time to
frustrating.
go through the rest of them. Like Strus, Bum, probably. He wasn't good in the
Strus was
finals.
bad.
Robinson
He was
actually kinda
bad.
carried it over. He had some moments.
Robinson was all right. I remember going into Game 5, Strus was 2 of 10 on wide
Gabe
open
Vincent was
threes.
kind of terrible throughout the finals too.
He was bad. Yep.
Jimmy
Even
Butler
Jimmy
ran out of
wasn't
gas.
great. Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Butler since the first round hasn't even been that great. Like realistically,
Well, he
he's
did
been
hurt
all right.
himself.
I know he
And I'm
hurt
not being
himself, but like
facetious. Like he rolled his ankle, and
He hurt
before
his
the
ankle.
conference finals, I think it was in the episode with Bobby Kravitsky.
Mhm.
I was like, he rolled his ankle. Keep your eye on that. And I was half right,
Yeah.
except everyone else decided they were gonna
Yep.
just learn how to play basketball at a high level.
Yep. Pretty much. They're taking the NBA Finals photo right now, by the way. And Jokic is just like second row back in the corner. It doesn't care. That's crazy. I'll back you though. Ratless the Heat role players who are playing like crap in the finals. I think that's all the rat list I have. I don't have much. I think can be a shorter-ish episode.
Rat
I mean,
list.
we're
Adam
still on,
Silver right now is announcing Jaws punishment. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I thought you were serious for a sec. Wow.
No, he just couldn't
That's
wait
amazing.
he couldn't wait to announce it.
Well, Nuggets no longer are titleless. Good for them. Anti-ratless, the Nuggets. Anti-ratless Jeff Green. I like Jeff Green.
And
That's
they
all I got
wore
though.
home jerseys at home. Good for them.
Kind of. Not really. They wore whites. They didn't wear the homes.
Who knows?
They wore
That'll probably be no home jersey.
same thing. Okay. Fair enough. That's all I got. Any more else from you? You good?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Let's close it out here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics. Leave us 5 stars on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this if you're not watching on YouTube, but you should be watching on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. I am tired. I am ready to go to bed, so I will let Sam wrap this up.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like Jack said. Leave a like, leave comments, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our uploads this summer. We're putting in work. We're making sure we get you stuff daily to keep you busy. On top of that, if you're listening on a streaming service, make sure you follow us there. Leave a 5-star review and a nice little comment, nice review, saying nice things about us. You can follow the socials at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Is just the name of the pod. You'll get all our streams there when they do happen, usually 30 minutes before every game. No games happening right now. Not a lot of streams happening. There will be streams this summer. We just haven't got
We'll
there yet.
get some stuff done.
This is kind of a busy time still. On top of that, you can follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA on Twitter, and you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA on Twitter. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on. Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus! These guys are ridiculous!